Don't ask me difficult questions.
With the difficult questions, okay. We are honored to welcome you among us at the 4th Qatar International Business Women Forum. If you ask for the difficult question, we will start with the difficult question. What drives you to who you are, to be who you are?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What drives you to be who you are?
Oh, life. There is nothing else driving us other than the life. It's just that individual people choose…
Sound?
Hello? Yeah. I mean, nobody is driven here by anything other than life, actually. That's a reality. It is just that individual people choose specific areas of life and think that is it. My endeavor has been to make people involved with life as a whole, not just with this aspect or that aspect. One who is… there is a very famous yogic story which must be here also, across the world, about how different people… 5 blind men look at feel an elephant and they come to different conclusions. One feels the trunk and says an elephant is like a rope. One feels the legs and says an elephant is like a column of stone. One feels the body and says it's a wall. One feels the tail and it says it's like another small rope. So everybody comes to conclusions about life. My endeavor is to get people out of their conclusions and just allow the experience of life to constantly widen, constantly expand, rather than making conclusions with a little bit of knowledge gather and be too proud of. Whoever we may be, however educated or knowledgeable or wise we think we are, our perception of the larger universe is just a minuscule. We haven't understood a single atom in its entirety, that's a fact. Scientific exploration, we have still not understood a leaf in its entirety. So when that is our state, coming to a conclusion that this is the area of my life or that is the area of my life is a foolish conclusion. So, who I am is just a piece of life and life is the biggest phenomena that we know in the universe. And I don't see how anything else can drive anybody's life except the life forces. Just being alive to it, just being open to it, just to reverberate with it is the basic essence of life. Any individual having a separate mission other than serving the process of life, I think whenever they don't like what I'm saying, taking me off. Hello? What's individual people having their own mission of life, I feel is highly egoistical and self-centered because we are just a minuscule in this universe. You know, this planet Earth, is a speck in the larger cosmos. The solar system itself is a small speck. Tomorrow morning if it evaporates, nobody will miss it in this universe, that's how large it is. In that larger speck of solar system, planet Earth is a microspeck. In that microspeck, we are sitting here in Doha, it's a super microspeck. In that super microspeck in this cosmos, you are a big man or a woman, this is a serious problem. we have no perspective as to who we are in this existence. We are too full of ourselves, so we have missions and ideologies and all philosophies and all kinds of things. We are too small to make any conclusions about the cosmos. We're too microscopic. I'm sure you don't have a microscope powerful enough in contrast with the cosmos to see who a human being is. It's too very small. But the beauty of being human is, we cannot grab everything in the universe, but if we are willing, we can perceive everything in the universe. It's only what we perceive we know, rest is all imagination. Maybe locally make some sense in every society, whatever conclusions a few people have made, because all of them agree to those conclusions, looks like it makes sense. But in the larger perspective of life, it makes no sense. It is only what we perceive, and if we only evolve tools for enhancing our perception, that we will know this life better, and there is nothing else can drive any of us except life itself, the phenomena of life, the power and the beauty of what life is. It's not for you and me to make individual traits of it. It's for us to experience it and express it and reflect it in every possible way.
Sadhguru, in this mad race for economic development, are we missing something?
So we need to understand this, economy or the commerce. Commerce should serve human well-being. But slowly we are turning it into a huge giant where human beings are serving commerce. Commerce may refuse to serve humanity after some time if we don't graduate it properly right now. Particularly with all the women getting into the economic activity, this is the time to understand and regulate commerce in such a way that it serves human well-being, it doesn't work against us, commercial forces. Why I'm saying this is, I'm constantly moving around with policymakers and business leaders. Their short-sightedness of their vision scares me sometimes, because right now, we have created an economic module where if we succeed, we will fail. When I say this, in the year 2008, when the economic recession was just setting in, I was at the World Economic Forum and they asked me to handle a session. This session was titled Recession and Depression. Because all the economic leaders, most of them, almost all of them are billionaires in their own right, but they were all carrying long faces, depressed, because in the last 3 months they had lost a few billions. It's all on paper, of course. Nothing is lost from this planet, everything is here only. Nothing evaporated and went away. In the paper value of things, something was up, something was down, and there was a huge depression in the mood of the economic leaders. So I said, recession is bad enough, you don't need depression on top of it. But anyway, the way we have structured the economic engine today, the way it is driving, if we fail, we will be depressed. If we succeed, we will be damned. So it's better we fail, or we re-engineer the whole economic process on this planet. Today, in many ways, I'm without any prejudice to anybody, I'm saying this. Every nation and every society in the world, knowingly or unknowingly, are aspiring for a life. Economically successful life means to live like an average American. The Living Earth statistics says that if 7 billion people on the planet start living like an average American person, you will need four and a half planets to service this economy. but we only have half a planet. I want you to know, half is gone. We only have half a planet, but we are driving towards using 4.5 planets, which we don't have. The other planet we can use is some light years away. So, our economic module has to re-engineer itself. There's a very prominent proverbial story in India about a man sitting on the wrong side of the branch and cutting it. If he succeeds, he will fail. That is the kind of module we have set up. Our idea of success is being one step ahead of somebody else who had already made a mistake. So, I think particularly women entering business areas, a complete rethinking about what is success, what is well-being, what is good life, has to be recrafted, otherwise we're heading for destruction. I'm sorry to sound like this. Isn't it so?
Could you advise on how a leader could acquire vision for his leadership to bridge the gap between vision and reality? What are the steps?
Vision
and manifestation,
reality.
the
Okay.
reality. Yeah.
So when you say you're a leader, by any standards, business or otherwise, a leader means you have the privilege of sitting on a perch a little above others. If you sit in a higher place than others, and if you don't see better than others, you will make a fool out of yourself. You have to see something that others cannot see. If you don't see anything new, if you don't see anything fresh that others cannot see, for sure you will become an object of ridicule. So vision is an important part of being a leader, that you're able to see something. Vision does not mean you concocted an ideology. Vision means, literally means you're able to see something that others cannot see. So when you're seeing something, if your vision is seeing something, it will never be in conflict with the existing reality. Only if your vision is from the libraries of great universities in the world, then it may not have connection with the reality in you exist. Otherwise, vision means to see. If you're seeing, how can you be disconnected with the existing reality? But I know where this question is coming from, because for most people their vision comes from books that they've read, or something that they have concocted in their mind because they're supposed to have a vision. Now, vision means to see. I think for ages, we've always credited women being more intuitive or more visionary, for which they were burnt and killed and battered for so many things because they could see something that others could not see. So, a woman has had a… I'm sorry if it sounds bad, I'm only saying it in a certain context. A woman has had a privileged position where she could sit back and look. Man was in the thick of action, not seeing anything. Day-to-day race with somebody else kept him busy that he could not see anything, dust in his eyes. But woman sat back and looked, not involved in the activity, but just looking and seeing. So she saw things that others could not see. She developed capabilities within herself where she could see things that two eyes could not see. When you say an oracle, you think of a woman, not a man, isn't it? Men also, but generally in the world, if you say intuition, if you say somebody is an oracle, somebody is could see something, means generally the image of a woman comes up. This is for many reasons. Are you interested in other reasons or just in social and business reasons? Hello? It's a question. Other reasons, okay. This will need a little rejigging of your logic, because this is of a different nature, what I'm going to speak now. In the making of the human being, who we are right now, the form that we have taken, is a product of the solar system in which we exist. In many ways, the solar system is functioning like a potter's wheel to bring this up. There are beautiful examples or analogies for this. The Adi Yogi, the first yogi, over 15,000 years ago, when his disciples asked him, "Can't we evolve further?" He talked about evolution. He talked about evolution 15,000 years ago, not 150 years ago after Charles Darwin came. He said, first the life upon this planet happened as fish, then it became a turtle, then it became a wild boar, then it became half man, half animal, then it became a dwarfed man, then a full-fledged man but volatile in his emotions, then a peaceful man, a loving man, a meditative man. The next one is supposed to be a mystical one. So when he spoke about this, people around him naturally asked, "So can't we evolve further right now?" So he said, unless there are drastic changes in the solar system and the way it functions, you cannot physically evolve further, but you can evolve in your consciousness if you're willing. It's uncanny that in recent times, somebody was introducing themselves to me as a neuroscientist here. I don't know what it is. Okay. Neurologically, a lot of research has gone into this in the last 6 to 8 years. And the same question has come up, can't we have a bigger brain than what you have right now? How many times you thought the men around you, couldn't they have a little bigger brain? To anybody around you, this question comes up. And when this question was posed and a lot of research was done in this direction, what the neuroscientists came up with is, see, if you want to have a bigger brain or brain capacity, there are two ways. One thing is pack more neurons inside, which means you may have a higher level of intelligence but a lower level of clarity. A whole lot of children are born like this, more brain cells than they should have. Initial phase of their life, they're very disturbed and agitated or hyperactive. Today they all get named as sick by the doctors. They give them some names. If you just leave them in nature, let them play, do a lot of physical activity, the body will adjust itself. But before that, they're already given a title as to what they are, ADH or this one or that one, and they're medicated for this, which is a completely different approach, unfortunate approach, that every child is labeled before he finds his feet. Or another way of increasing the brain capacity is to increase the size of the neuron. If you increase the size of the neuron, right now as you sit here in a restful state, 20% of your calories are burnt by your brain. Those of you who've been thinking about calories, you just have to think a little more. 20% of your energy is right now being consumed by your brain. It's such a small part compared to the rest of the body, but it is consuming 20% of the energy. It's a very high energy consuming part of your body. If you increase the size of the neuron, this physical body will not be capable of delivering the necessary energy that the brain will demand. So they said you cannot increase the brain capacity, but you can use it better. It's uncanny, after 15,000 years we say the same thing, and this is not because of neurological principles, this is because of physical laws in the universe. Physical laws are determined on this planet because of the structure of the solar system, or what they're saying once again is, unless something about the solar system changes, you cannot change the structure of your brain or structure of your body. So in that sense, the solar system has a serious role to play. At what speed it is spinning, how it is doing things, has a serious role to play in the way your body has shaped up, in the way your intelligence has shaped up, in the way the human being has evolved over a period of time. Considering this, there are three very important factors. There are 9 important factors, we'll not go into that. The 3 most important factors are the planet, the sun and the moon. It is only because our mothers' bodies were in sync with the cycles of the moon, we're even born, otherwise we wouldn't be born. Similarly, the cycles of the sun, which happens once in 12.25 years, have similar impact on us, but that is not noticed by most people because it's